Absolutely massive. David De Gea has left Manchester United with no intention to keep the Spaniard at the club. We'll talk about in this video where potentially he could go, and of course his legacy at Manchester United. David De Gea, I think it's the best. If I was a Man United fan, take my City hat off. You cannot progress as a football club in the 21st century or in 2023 wars. You can't have someone as cumbersome, as slow on the ball, and as actually a poor shot stopper as David De Gea for a club as big as Man United.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think that for Eric Ten Hag to play his system, for Ten Hag ball to actually work, they needed a new goalkeeper. They needed a goalkeeper that can play that sweeper role. They needed a goalkeeper that was comfortable with the ball at his feet. So for us to actually appreciate what Ten Hag's going to do at that club, for Ten Hag to actually have a fair fighting chance of delivering what he wants to deliver, they needed to upgrade their goalkeeper. They needed a goalkeeper that was comfortable with his feet. So they've now made that decision. They've backed the manager yet again. So the pressure now is actually on Ten Hag, isn't it? Because he has now been given the tools that he needs. Like, you know, when he arrived at the club and it was Harry Maguire. Okay, you can't succeed with Harry Maguire in your team as captain. Therefore, he had to make a change of personnel to make it work. Now, there was a time when you couldn't play the proper system that you wanted to play with David De Gea in goal. So that has now changed. So this is all good news for Manchester United. The only sticking point is expectations will now increase. Pressure will increase. Who do you think they're going to bring in?
Well, there's only one keeper from my research that is feasible, and unless Man United fans can let me know in the comments, keepers they already have in their ranks. For me, Onana is the one viable one that comes in. He's got the ceiling to be a world-class keeper. I still think there's a gap to his game. I don't think he's Alisson. I don't think he's Ederson. I don't think he's Manuel Neuer, for example.
Last week, though, Booth, I saw a screenshot of Dean Henderson in training. He'd put up a picture of his gloves, brilliant first day training and all that. Is there a world in which he could be their number one going into the new season?
I don't get what happened.
Well,
he went to Forest on loan. Did really well the season before was it Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Did really well. And then, bang, he's not even playing for Forest.
I don't think he's conducted himself in a Manchester United way off the pitch.
Right, is that an issue?
I think he's been slightly condescending towards the club. I think he's been slightly arrogant. Like, bearing in mind, professional footballers need an element of arrogance. There has to be a belief in their opinion. But I think Dean Henderson wanted to oust David De Gea from the number one spot when David De Gea was like Spain number one. So it was going to always be very tricky. Whereas now he's back, he's training, he seems happy. I just wonder if he's burnt a bridge with the support. The support seemed to turn on him. I know Adam McKola, for example, is not a big fan of his at all.
Yeah, but you can't, beggars can't be choosers. Ultimately, you need a keeper if he's good enough. Mate, Carlos Tevez, he left Man United, joined Man City, he used to play for Man United. If he's good enough, he's good enough. It don't matter if
Do you
he's
think
good enough.
Dean Henderson is good enough?
No. My gut is no. I think he's a fantastic ceiling keeper. I think he could be a good Premier League keeper. The fact that last season went a little bit sideways, a little bit flat, he plateaued. Keylor Navas came in, did very, very well for Forest. That would worry me if I was a United fan. You're basically saying, is Forest number 2? He barely played a game for Forest. Is he good enough for United suddenly? No.
Okay, here's a question then. Is he better than David De Gea? Is Dean Henderson a better goalie than David De Gea?
Yeah.
So simply by process of elimination, they've improved.
Yeah, but Man United need to improve by a factor of 10x in that department because they're so far behind. They're like living in the Victorian era with their keeper. They're so far behind. Ederson, what Alisson can do with his feet. Raya at Brentford, they were linked to him. I don't know what's happened to that link because you feel that Brentford let their players go, especially if Man United came in and they can't really compete. You think 40 million quid would have got that done, would have made him one of the most expensive keepers in Europe. So you think about it, you think they're so far behind these lot. They're so far behind.
What about his legacy, David De Gea? Looking back on his time at Manchester United, do you remember when he arrived, there was a lot of fanfare. He was seen at one point as being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. All that Dave saves. Do you remember all that? Dave saves?
Yeah, shocking.
Overall, do you think his legacy at Manchester United is secure? Is he one of their best?
He's one of their best in the last 10 years because he's the only keeper that started. He started every game for 10 years. I mean, that's the standard he's at. I don't think he's had.
So what? Schmeichel, Van der Sar, nowhere near.
He's closer to Taibbi than Van der Sar. No, but I'm not even trying to. I think he's closer to Taibbi than he is to Foster. To Barthez. He's that.
Yeah.
Maybe Taibbi's a bad one, but he's closer to Barthez than he is to Schmeichel every day of the week.
Yeah.
He had a couple of good seasons. I know he won the Golden Glove, but there are guys, Nick Pope at Burnley nearly won the Golden Glove a couple of years ago. So it's down to your defenders. It's down to other factors as well. So he's a good shot stopper. He's not one of the best in the world. He's not good with his feet. He's not even the top 15 in the league with his feet. He's not. And he's at the wrong age. The big thing, if I was a Man United fan, I'd be absolutely... He's been a player that 1 minute he's trusted. Let's give him 450 grand a week. 450 grand a week to stand there and flap at shots. 450 grand a week to have a 120-minute highlight reel on Twitter about how bad you are. That's a whole movie. That's the Dark Knight Rises about how bad you are.
That is cinematic, isn't it? There's an entire...
It's a Succession level HBO series about how shocking you are in goal.
Yeah.
So he's that kind of standard for me. So long story short, I think he's been a fan favourite during the depressing time.
Yeah, but this is interesting. Why? Why do...
It's so depressing.
But why do such big accounts, such big Manchester United accounts, friends of ours, they seem to rate him so highly. Like, when you don't support a club, the nuances at that club, it's very difficult for you to understand, right? Anytime you talk about a club that isn't yours, you're doing it from the outside looking in, which is slightly different. Manchester United fans, often Manchester United season ticket holders, they sing for De Gea, they love De Gea, and yet we watch De Gea every week, like they do, but not through the same lens. We watch him, we think he's terrible. They watch him, they love him.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Well,
you're a bit like me with Mason Mount.
You've been successful for 20 years. City are slightly newer. Richard Dunn won the Player of the Year at Man City 4 years in a row. Richard Dunn. We were thinking he was Richard Dunn here. Sean Wright Phillips. I go on about him. You think he was shocking it for me. He's one of my favourite players going around. So David De Gea represented some of the darkest times in Man United because they've not just been shit. They've spent hundreds of millions of billions of pounds being shit as well. Not won a league in 10 years. Not got to Champions League. Semi-final, final in, again, over a decade. So David De Gea is a flower in the mud.
Yeah.
He's a poppy amongst the terrible Man United backdrop.
Of flowers. Mate, I like this simile. Talk more about flowers and dirt.
Poppies grow in the muck, don't they? Yeah? That's what David De Gea is. He's a dim light in
so now they've moved on.
Terrible.
Now they've moved on. What do you think this means for their aspirations next season? They already qualified for the European Cup. They won silverware. Now we're getting into a situation where Ten Hag has his guy. He has a goalkeeper that will be able to play his system, we assume.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for their aspirations?
I don't think it changes.
New goalie, Mason Mount.
They need a
centre forward.
They need a striker.
If that centre forward does arrive, then what?
I think it's the foundation for next season and the season after. That's when they've got to try and win the league. When maybe Pep Guardiola F's off, Klopp as well. Maybe Chelsea regress, Spurs, etc. And then United think, well, we've got a nucleus of a side. We've got a young keeper, maybe Onana, whoever it is. And then we sign a striker and go on to win it. I don't think it's immediate success.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm surprised, but I think the Manchester United fans should probably be happy with this news. Thank you so much for watching this clip. Buvey and I will be in the comments as soon as this video goes low. So please comment below. Let us know exactly what you think. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up as well. It massively helps us just so that we can monitor what's going on. And if you are new around here, please click that subscriber button. We would love to welcome you into this community. Thank you so much for watching this clip on the club, and we will see you all in a bit.